Hello friend, welcome to my YouTube channel Masterclass with Tapas. This is the place for new age management skills and lifestyle tips for budding managers like you all. Today's topic is very interesting, which is all about unconsciousness bias at workplace. I think we all face this situation sometime or other. Why unconscious bias is important? So, listen the video till the end and subscribe to my channel Masterclass with Tapas. Unconscious biasness have a determined impact on your workforce. One of the most consequences of the unconscious bias is that the tendency to unquestionably believe our brain's assumptions, and when we believe something without questioning it, we are more likely to act on the assumption regardless of the merit. Unconscious bias can create a real harm sometimes because bias influenced assumptions aren't evidence based and are often incorrect. Acting on them can produce unfair outcomes. In our society, unconscious bias perpetuates inequalities in housing, education, healthcare, criminal justice, and other critical areas, of course. Acting on bias at workplace can adversely impact a horizontally marginalized group. For example, when we act on the unconscious racial or the gender bias during the hiring process, we risk the passing over the candidate who are objectively the best fit for the role. Is it in? Because unrelated characteristics or the belief prompted us to make assumption about that person, and we prioritize those over more relevant information which are currently available. This outcome is unfair to for a qualified candidates who are passed over and employees whose ideas and work aren't appropriately valued within the company's culture. Unabated unconscious bias can also lead to sometimes legal trouble. Also, the employers must provide clear job-related reason for which they advance some candidates but not others. If you're hiring a manager passes over a candidate with a disability because of their unconscious bias leads them to a mistakenly concluded that the candidate inherently incapable of performing that role, the company could open to a discriminational claims. There are some factors which contributes to implicit the bias. Your organizational culture and success is greatly affected by whether the leader acts on the implicit biases. Understanding the contributing factor that can help to take control over them. Discover four factors that can influencing unconscious bias in your organization. Cultural norms and expectations is the first. Your culture reinforce attitude, norms, and values that can intensify or mitigate the effects of unconscious bias. If your culture is more likely to recognize and promote younger employees, for example, age-based employment and the promotion design are more likely to be become ingrained. A carefully crafted culture can enforce positive norms too. For example, rewarding inclusive behaviors demonstrate the company's emphasis on the diversity, inclusion, and equity in the workplace. Then governance and processes. The governance consists of the structure, policy, the procedures, and the guide your organization management. One manifestation of unconscious bias is the business, the governance, the under dependency of on the minority group on the corporate board. On the way, the bias manifestation is a performance of a candidate who align with stereotypes about the board membership or whose background and experience are similar to the existing the board member. Sometimes leaders' attitude and behavior can also have a significant impact on unconscious bias and governance. And organization governance will vary greatly depend upon whether the leader acknowledge that the bias can affect the judgment and implement bias interrupting processes. Visibility is essential here too. If you lack the diverse across the organization, you will have a fewer perspective and the diverse voices. This lack of visible diversity can enforce people implicate biases, continuing the cycle. Your people processes should specifically address the unconscious bias. Checkpoints in the hiring process, for example, can help recruiters stop and consider the decision more objectively. The personal background everyone comes from a work with their own conceptions which the manifest as a unbiased workplace education vital because the biases are based on the result of what we learn from the people closest to us. To counter the effect of the bias, consider unconscious bias training and other method that can help recognize their perceptions and how they affect the decision making. Slow stereotype. We are bombarded with stereotype from our culture and norms. People with insular background who can less exposed in differences can be efficiently vulnerable, believing those stereotypes. While can't control the employees' experience before joining an exam organization, you can provide education and help them to shift their mindset. Each bias is fairly unique in its own way. However, there are few things that managers can do lead an effective workforce free from these biases, which is the very important for us. The business owners can provide resources to their employees that can raise awareness of unconscious bias, but recognize that these biases should be eliminated and prevented from entering into the workplace. The top management can take a step in the right direction for creating a diverse work environment. These resources for knowledge can include things such as the posting a visible sign in the workplace or even an on-site site for employees to reference. By making this information easy to access, allows employees to familiarize themselves with the unconscious biases and how they can avoid them. Another effective way to combat consciousness bias in the workplace is providing training to the employees. And this is, I think, every organization is doing these days. This method includes a bit of engagement since employees will directly receive information in a more formal fashion. A test of unconscious bias also helps the company to address this uh, behavior. And coming to unconscious bias, one thing is also important that we should treat everyone with equality and dignity. So if you all like my thought, give my channel a huge thumbs up, share it, subscribe the channel Masterclass with Tapas for latest management skill and visit my website in the same name. So till I meet next, bye for now. Thank you.